what do you think is there such thing as the right mindset or the right timing or the right market?
I think everybody has a different strategy and everybody wants different things out of real estate. What I wanted was long-term wealth, long-term cash flow. I like the fact that I can do something once and get paid every month, give or take. They're not steady all the time, but
Yeah.
for the most part, you can count that there's going to be a receivable coming in or revenue coming in from these properties. And so I like the concept of buying something, doing it once, giving a good product out and good service from a property management perspective, and getting paid every month on that.
Hello, everyone. This is Camila from MCN Marketing Firm, 5-star social media coach. And today I have the pleasure and the honor to interview Christopher DiPreta.
Thank you very
Hello,
much for having
hello.
us. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming all the way from Fairfield.
Yes. A little bit of traffic, but if
Yeah.
you're from Connecticut, there's always traffic.
It's getting worse in California.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, right.
Christopher, so I know a little bit about you because we did our little investigation.
Yes.
But the audience don't. And this is a great platform for you to expose yourself and have these people learn from you. And I want you to take us back. How did real estate found you, or did you found real estate? And tell me, was it first love, first deal?
So I grew up in a very heavy Italian household. My father came from Italy when he was very early on in his life, and he opened up a deli down in Stanford, and he recently retired about 3 months ago. So he's there for
Good for
45
him.
years. Yeah. And growing up in that environment, I had just a lot of influence around people who were always building, constructing, blue collar workers all the time coming into the deli. And I grew up in the deli, so my father always told me go into real estate, and that kind of stuck with me throughout my whole career. My whole life, and I went to college to be a mechanical engineer, which I graduated with, and was working in Rocky Hill, not too far from here. And I decided that it wasn't going to be for me long term, and to go into real estate. So I bought my first house, rented out the rooms, and saw the cash flow from the rental property. Did a flip.
And
saw
you're
how
like, oh,
it was
baby.
I was love at first sight.
Oh, so so
Yeah.
it's first love.
The hustle, definitely
Yeah.
fell in love with the hustle, and that 15 years has gone by, and I still have the same passion I had from day one. So
Wow. So
Yeah.
when was this? How many years ago?
2000. So I started looking for my first house in 2011. I bought my first house in 2012. That was the rental, and then I flipped my first house in 2012, and then sold it in 2013.
My goodness, that was
Yeah.
quick. You were not missing
No,
any time
no,
here, huh?
no,
Let me ask you, do you work at the deli?
Not anymore. When I was growing up, I did.
You
yeah,
did?
yeah.
Were
I
you
ate
doing
sandwiches?
sandwiches?
Yes, yes.
Hey, those are the experiences that
Yes.
shape us, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
I-
100%.
right?
With customer service, being in front of the people at 12 years old, 13 years old,
Yeah.
definitely like makes you read people, understand like where how to attack each situation.
Well, you say this industry is people's.
It's
a
very
people's
relationship based,
industry,
yes,
right?
100%. So yeah, I have a lot of credit going back to those days and being so young and naive. But yeah, love real estate. Got into it. He's super proud of me now, and he almost wishes he did a little bit more real estate, seeing the success that I've had. So it's
Right.
great, and my
But
family.
you get to share it now.
Oh,
with
100%,
them, right?
100%.
Right.
Now they have their own rentals. So
What
my
part? What
parents.
part of Italy are they from?
My dad's from Setefrat, which is a little town in the Frosinone
Do you speak
region.
the language?
Not 100%, but I could get by.
Yeah.
I could get by. So yeah, he came over. I think he was like 5 or 6, and his parents were a little bit older. They were like 50.
So you were
55.
born here.
I was born here. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. And you're
then
the oldest or the
I'm
youngest?
I'm the middle child. So I have a younger sister and an older brother.
Okay.
So I kind of fall in the middle, and I always did things on my own. Always wanted to be the person calling the shots. That's
Yeah, of
just my
course.
my personality. So it all kind of fit, and
It's always the middle child.
it's always
right?
the middle child. I get blamed for everything. It's always Chris's fault. That's my mother. My mother raised me. It's always my fault.
All right. So you said you bought your first home 2011.
Yes.
So that
yes.
was your first investment.
That was my first investment.
All right. Be honest. Did it go smooth?
No,
or
it
how
didn't,
is it?
because I bought a fixer-upper because I, at the time thought I knew everything, and I was a young kid and didn't really know much. And
We know it all.
yeah, so I knocked down a load-bearing wall, and I cut a heat pipe in half and had hot water spraying all over the kitchen. And then I just made a few calls to get somebody out there. I'm not from the area originally, so I didn't know any contractors in Bloomfield. So I went to University of Hartford to get my degree, and I ended up staying there because my job was close, and
Yeah.
so I was by myself renovating the house.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah. So
wow.
I had to.
So, what do you think is the first mistake, or what do you think is the most common mistake that people do when investing in properties?
They undervalue rehabs.
Undervalue
Yeah,
rehabs.
never. They get into it, never really understand. At the end of the day, like what's behind the wall. And as an experienced investor with over 800, 900 units that I've done over my career, and property managed somewhere around that workload. Even to this day, like we missed up on rehab once in a while, where we overlook a wall, or we overlook this, or an HVAC unit. Say, oh no, it looks good, but there may be some corrosion on the a burn box for a boiler, or a forced hot air coil needs to be done, and you just overlook stuff like that.
How you can prevent things like that? Is there a way?
Inspections are great. I mean, I've throughout my career, I've never really used inspections, just because I've always hedged myself with extra contingencies on my rehab budgets. But for the most part, inspections are good. If you have very good connections with subcontractors, getting their opinion on the mechanical systems, and the condition of a lot of that stuff is helpful. But I know when you're trying to get a deal, everybody's hustling and bustling to get to get the contract
To get
signed.
it going, yeah.
And nobody likes to put inspections anymore because they want to get the deal done. So
that's
as an
like a
investor,
common mistake
that's
that
a
you-
big common mistake. And
How old were you when you bought your first home?
I was 21 or 22.
22,
Yeah.
22. Wow. Okay. So now let me ask you something. When you were 22,
Mm-hmm.
right, compared to now, and I'm sure you have bought hundreds
Hundreds,
of
yes,
houses
yes,
and
yes.
flips and stuff. What do you think is there such thing as the right mindset, or the right timing, or the right market?
I think everybody has a different strategy, and everybody wants different things out of real estate. What I wanted was long-term wealth, long-term cash flow. I like the fact that I can do something once and get paid every month, give or take. They're not steady all the time, but
Yeah.
for the most part, you can count that there's going to be a receivable coming in, or revenue coming in from these properties. And so I like the concept of buying something, doing it once, giving a good product out and good service from a property management perspective, and getting paid every month on that.
If you were to have to pick between cash flow or appreciation, which strategy you think you will go for?
So I've been the recipient of both, which I will say, in the moment, cash flow is great, but long term, I think appreciation really gives you the power to grow and expand a lot faster. So, having owned C class properties all the way up to A plus class properties, I would say I would pick the A class property all day, every day.
A-class property.
A-class.
Can you tell us a little bit? Because it's the first time I heard that, A-class property. What is that?
Usually the commercial side uses the classes a little bit more than residential real estate does. But when you got a 5+ unit building, like an apartment building, they generally categorize them as classes. And the higher the class, A, B, C, basically, the way the alphabet goes down, the better or more stable that asset is.
Oh, wow.
So Class A properties, Fairfield County properties, and really nice neighborhoods, where I started
it's
driving.
That like
The balance.
how wealthy it is?
Correct,
Or like,
correct. Yeah, the demographics
Oh,
around
class,
it, right?
class, of course,
Yeah.
like middle class.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
yeah.
it,
So
got
so
it.
to a degree, then there's cap rates that come off those classes.
My
So-
goodness,
So the
there's
lower
so
the
much.
cap rate, the more stable the asset, and then the more it's categorized as A, B, or C. Now, a lot of times is when you're starting, you can't get into Class A because you're not going to make enough cash flow. There's not going to be appreciation immediately. So a lot of first time investors get into like D class areas, C class areas, maybe B minus if they have another income stream coming in. But on my side, when I started in Bloomfield, which at the time was, I would say, a C plus B minus class property. But as I wanted to expand faster, I was looking at the Meridans of the world, the Waterburys, the where the multifamilies were, heavy
Right,
multifamily,
right.
but stability of cash flow was few and far between, which is why I got into the property management side, because I realized that I needed to take care of my own properties instead of another property management company running those apartments.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like those towns that you had mentioned previously is where the most of the multifamilies
Correct,
are.
correct.
But most of the time, like they're not in the best shape.
Correct. Got the best shape, the best areas, but that is where you can make equity. Where people, lose a job, they let the property go. There's deferred maintenance. You can pick up something for a lot cheaper, make cash flow, make equity, and then have these are income producing properties. You can still make a lot of money with them, but they require a lot more attention.
Since you've been a lot in this property management industry, what do you think about having properties in Section 8?
I've had a lot of properties in Section 8. I continue to have a lot of properties in Section 8. I think it is no better or worse than every other tenant. You have to vet everybody the exact same way, obviously legally, but also from my experience, there has been great Section 8 tenants that I've had, and I still have, and there has been terrible ones. Regular tenants, that cash
like
payers,
hit and miss.
they are completely the same way. Some of them are great. They look great on paper, and then they just don't pay their bills. So I really have no opinion one way or another about Section 8.
Perfect,
Yep.
perfect. Because I always had a good feeling about Section 8,
Yes.
And I just wanted to ask you.
And
that.
I actually,
I'm interested.
I would opt for Section 8 if I could, and the tenant
It's
was.
a lot of coding, though, that they
Correct.
have to get.
A lot of
stuff,
inspection
get
work, a lot of
inspections.
make sure everything's grounding, a lot of electrical problems that you have to fix if you don't have
Which I
three-prong
think
outlets.
it makes it more legit, your home,
100%. And the way I look at it, we always charge for inspections when we were running a property management firm. That's kind of like a free inspection that the town does on their behalf to make sure that the property is adequate enough to keep on renting.
awesome.
So it mitigates some of the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
This
sometimes
it's
it's
gonna get expensive.
Right, and sometimes it's a little. It's the lists get a little extensive, but for the most part, they're looking out for the tenant. So
Now let's switch it up a little bit
Yep.
because you are also a coach
I am a coach. Yes.
and you have a coaching
an
hustle and-
educational platform. So teaches people how to get into flipping and how to basically
That's
burr.
awesome.
Yeah, to burr.
How you got into? Okay, you got your license. You were coming from your pop's deli.
Yeah.
Seeing all this background, right? It's the entrepreneurial world because as when I was little, like my parents were doing the same thing.
Yes.
They were doing flips in
Yep.
Colombia. I'm from
Yeah,
Colombia.
yep.
And then you since little, I got into this mindset of
Right.
owning.
Right,
I
right.
didn't know what, but I knew I wanted to own.
Yeah.
Right. How does then coaching and the education life comes to you? Like, do you said, man, I do real estate, like I know real estate like the palm of my hand. Like,
Yeah.
let me teach, or how did that came?
So I started when I started. I didn't really know much, and it was really hard. It was really hard to navigate that world, and
Yeah.
I quite frankly I lost a lot of money up front, and I had to move back home for a little while. So
Yeah.
I had a few flips that didn't go quite our way when I started with one of my partners, and
How long in were you in the?
it was like my fourth deal. I went from a public. So we always our biggest I guess no would be like septics or wells, right? So we never did septics or wells until that first deal where it was such a good deal. We were like, we really wanted to go for it. We went for it. I took the risk. Didn't have it inspected like we were talking about, and it was a hand dug septic, and we ended up having to bring in all this sand and an engineer to draft up a crazy septic system, but. It could have been easily avoided by if I had a mentor or somebody who would say, hey, maybe just get that inspected and you're not
Yeah.
going to lose the deal because of that. At the time, we were just eager to get deals done. And so I would say, knowing that and knowing the property management side a lot, and a lot of people like to get into the rentals, I want to just kind of help people mitigate that risk. So that dollar amount was somewhere around $45,000 back then. And so what I charge is a fraction of that by far. So I was never a proponent of putting that kind of money out when I started because I needed the money to buy the next deal.
Absolutely.
But it could save you so many headaches, and they got to have parents that are supportive and close, or semi-supportive, I should say, and close. And I could go and go and crash on their couch, or go back to my childhood bed for a little while. But there was a time where I did sleep on my office couch. Kind of getting the business up and running because it was, my flips were so far from where I was sleeping.
Making any profit. And then so you said, I have to come out to the world and not let other people
Yeah,
go through
yeah,
this.
yeah. So it was
Is there
my.
like a membership, or how does it work?
So we do. So I do consulting. So if it's more of like a, like a question-based thing, if you're running into a problem with, inspection item list, or you see a deal, like we do consulting from that. I do consulting from that perspective to like help you navigate some of the rehab costs, or if the deal is good. But I also have a 10-week course that guarantees you a rental property within 6 months of completing that course.
Oh, you heard it, people.
Yes.
Don't do mistakes. He already went through this.
Yes, exactly.
Get to know him. Get his social medias, well, which I will ask
Yep.
your socials where
Yep.
they can find you and stuff
Okay.
like that
Yep.
later. But this is so important. Oh my God, how many mistakes can people save?
A lot,
Right?
a lot of money, a lot of money,
Mistakes
a lot of
and a
headaches.
lot
Yeah,
of money.
yeah.
My goodness.
Yep.
What would you say is the number one mindset shift your clients must have in order to succeed?
That's a good one. That is a good one. I would say in order for you to be successful in this business, you have to really buy into the fact that this is a long-term game. If you're looking to get into it short, you could do well on one flip, you could do well on two flips. But if you're not looking at long-term rentals or long-term wealth driving, that it is just going to be another job that you're partaking in. So
Do you believe that, or will you say that people must be having another job going on while they're investing?
while they're starting, you need income streams to come in order to buy that next deal or buy that next flip. Some people use flips as their driver for income, and then they use the profits as the driver for the investment. But you do need income coming in, and I would say I left my job a little bit premature, I would say, and that was a little tough at the beginning. But we mitigated that by going into service businesses for investors, which ended up being a job. So if I was a little bit smarter back then, I probably would have stayed at work for another 2 to 3 years and only kind of worked myself and invested
Let's
on my
blame
own.
it on
So.
the being the middle child. Man.
yes, the rebel, right? Don't want to listen to nobody.
Do you think anyone can be a real estate investor?
Anybody.
Yeah?
As long as
Or
you're
is there
disciplined.
any certain personalities that someone must possess in order to be a real estate investor?
So you have to be analytical to an extent, but then there's analysis by paralysis, where you look at a deal over and over and over again, and some people just don't jump. And that could be a personality type that hinders growth.
Be a risk taker?
100%. You have to be a risk taker to an extent, because you're not going to know everything. And every deal we buy, you're never going to know the property through and through. And then when you finally do all your due diligence, you probably lost the deal to somebody else that's willing to take that risk. So,
But we can minimize this risk
minimize risk,
if
calculate
you have
the risks.
a mentor.
Correct.
Or if you take
Correct.
classes.
Correct.
And that is so valuable from you, coming from someone that has been doing this for so long.
Right.
That you said, you know what, I'm not selfish. Let me teach.
Right.
It
Right.
comes all together. Tell us about a deal that probably blew up in your face, and what did that teach you?
So the deal I'll go back to was the first flip that I actually lost money on. Was in Durham, Connecticut. It was a beautiful ranch, brick ranch. We had, I forget the margins now, but I think the profits were looking somewhere around 50 to 60,000 at the time. Got the deal under contract for asking. Back then, which is like more than 10 years ago now, and that's when the septic problem came up. So I did the inspection. We realized this was hand dug. We called the engineering company. They came out. They said, well, there's ledge in the backyard, so you actually have to blast down, or
Lead.
we have to like a ledge.
Yeah.
So there was no absorption from the sewage in the septic. So we had to relocate the piping in the septic there now, which was close to a well pipe. And FHA rules are you can't be within 75 feet of a well, or something of that nature. And so we had to not only move the well, we had to move the septic, and we had to bring in all this sand, dump all the sand in, which I think the septic ended up costing us some upwards of 45,000. And then the well was another, a couple thousand. So that was a loss. First time I had to borrow money from somebody to finish a deal and then still lose money. So that was super frustrating. But I would say a lot of the deals I do now are larger deals. So I also invest now in Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi.
Oh, so you do out of state?
So we're doing out of state, yeah. So
Wow.
I started selling my holdings back in 2022.
Smart, very
And so we're moving everything to more landlord friendly states. And a lot of these deals are complex. So Some of them, like I just had a deal recently. There's 56 units in Norman, Oklahoma. Had my build out syndications now with limited partners and general partners, and that blew up in our face with a bad appraisal. So nothing I could really do. But you lose money here and there, and you just got to know that.
What did that teach you though?
It taught me that I probably have to have the property appraised before I go and put deposits down. It's not really typical. It's an atypical way of doing business. But refundable deposits or having contingencies in our offers that allow me to get my deposit back when the appraisal doesn't come out right. So
how can you control this then when you're investing out of state?
So it was tough at first because we just didn't know anybody. I flew out there a few times trying to meet, some people, property managers, which is my background. So I'm like really tough on property managers. Construction, I have background in construction, heavy construction.
Do you travel? Do you have
yes,
to,
I do.
obviously,
So we go out there to look at the buildings myself. We have them, now we have them inspected. I have the engineers walk out for the foundation because the South is a little different than here where the foundations are all slabs. So if they're cracking, whatever, I can't really tell, like you could tell here that there's a foundation problem. So we have engineers go out. So yeah, we mitigated. We actually had a bad property manager out there with my first big building, which I saw from a mile away. But she got me the deal. I gave her a 6 months to kind of turn things around. It didn't work out, so we had to move into a new property management company, which she's been excellent for the last year and a half. And yeah, it's just that's another big mistake people make is if they don't want to self-manage, they hire the wrong property management company. And property managers are notorious for like not using your money the right way. Overspending or just getting things done without really looking into the problem. So we needed to find somebody that can bring that kind of tenacity to our business, and we did. We found that person.
I'm curious to ask you, what would you say are the top 3 or 5 states that you will say, yeah, you should invest?
Well, where I'm in, so Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi, I would say, is a tougher market, but there's a lot of equity to grab. So we're talking about the difference between equity and appreciation. So Mississippi is not going to appreciate real heavily compared to the other markets that I'm in, but it's heavy cash flow, and I wanted to offset the portfolio from a diversification standpoint. We are looking at Tennessee, Arkansas, and Ohio as well.
Oh my God, so is that whole...
So it's basically the whole corridor over there in the Midwest. Bringing it down to the Gulf, and then yeah, the Sun Belt. Yeah, so the Sun Belt states are always going to be very profitable.
What is it
right
like
now.
with the taxes over there?
So taxes are not bad. They're probably about half here, from which based on value and mill rate and all that good stuff. But yeah, tax rates. I mean, on the bigger buildings are going to seem astronomical, but if, we have a 131 unit under contract in the same market that I was in with the 36 units, and the taxes are comparable to maybe a 12 to 14 unit building here. So saving on utility costs, cost of living is very low, which was the strategy of going out of state altogether was cost of living. People really can't afford some of the pricing in Connecticut. And plus the landlord laws are not friendly here. So kind of wanted to get out of that whole scenario.
I hope you guys are taking notes, because this is I'm taking mental notes here. I'm gonna have to rewatch this episode myself.
Yeah,
it's so
a lot to
interesting
unpack.
because a lot of people talk about investing, but it's the first one I heard that, hey, I do out-of-state investing, and that those are big. It's risky.
It is very risky.
You are a risky guy.
I like to take risks.
You take risk, which is great.
Yeah.
What kind of trending are you seeing right now in investing? Because everyone says they're investing, right?
Everybody's investing. That is kind of like why the inventory just keeps on getting picked up. And it's a great thing to see a lot of people doing well with it. I see a lot of people flipping, and they're doing very well with flipping, but there's absolutely no place, especially in Connecticut specifically, to put your money and actually make money on your money. So a lot of people are staying out of the market on the multifamily side here because it's just too expensive with the rate.
Right, they're like keeping the
cash,
the multifamilies, and just having the what is
Right.
it called, flow income,
The cash flow,
the cash flow. Yeah.
Yep.
I have quite a few friends that are buying every 3 years.
Yeah.
They're refinancing, but they're keeping the tenants. They're not selling.
Yes. Yeah. So you have that's a lot of people are sitting on cash too. A lot of investors. I had a networking event last night with a lot of people that flip in the state, and a lot of people said they just don't have places to put their investable profit.
Okay. Thank you so much, Christopher, for everything that you have been sharing with us. I am a social media coach, and I know you do coaching and
Yep.
educational.
Right.
Do you use any like marketing strategies for your coaching, like AI strategies, or do you use any technology
I'm
itself?
not quite there yet, but we do. I do have a social media manager, and she uses a lot of the AI, the typical basis AI softwares or apps that you use to help.
Because you're in social media, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah. So that the content is and looks halfway decent, and all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm new to it for the most part. I flew under the radar for a long time. I've really been like a worker bee for the most part for the last 15 years, and so it's nice to be out there and really like express my knowledge. But yeah, the education side of it is very new to me, and it's exciting, but it's definitely new. So
has AI helped you in any way with your investments?
oh, 100%. Yeah. So AI
Really?
AI is it's my new Google, right? So everybody used to go to Google and search.
My girl
and,
calls it Super Google.
yeah, super Google. So I use it. I actually talk to it at least an hour a week just to kind of get my brand and understanding of my knowledge. So over time, I could only, because I have obviously the paid subscription, so it has memory, and it follows like what I put into it. And over time, I ask it, hey, I need a prompt for this, or I need a tip for real estate based on my biography or like what I've uploaded for the last 45, 50 days. It helps us with analysis on properties, demographics of buildings we're looking at.
Wow.
That's where it helps the most.
So it's
where-
becoming your best friend, huh?
It is. It is. I talk to it.
Do you have
I
a
talk-
name? You have
no,
a name?
I don't.
You
No.
just call,
ChatGPT.
Hey, Chat.
ChatGPT. Yeah, ChatGPT.
Hey, Chat. Are you one of those that say thank you and please?
I do. I don't want it to get mad and then not answer me.
I do the same thing. My husband is like, why are you attacking him? It's a robot.
Oh man. Yeah.
Oh, time is cutting so short, man. Time
Yeah.
flies where we're having fun.
I know.
I want you to look at this camera and I want you to give a shout out to your company, to a mentor, to whoever you will like, and also an advice to people that are starting or are thinking to invest.
Okay. So my Instagram is at Chris_DiPreta. You could see all the Hustle and Homes, which is my brand on the socials there. A tip, I guess I would say, just like any good contractor, is measure twice, cut once. Always look at your rehab twice before you submit that statement of work to your lender. And I would like to shout out my current business partner, Carly Worth. She could be found at RE Carly, RE with Carly. And yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody who's helped me in the past. A big mentor in the beginning for me was Joe Petrowski, and he really put the big vision together for us with a large unit count and the services being provided to other investors. So thank you, Joe, for all your help at the onset of my career. So.
That's amazing.
Yep.
You don't see that too often, you
Yep.
know. People are kind of selfish, and having somebody like Joe, and
Yeah.
Yeah. it gives you a peace of mind and
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah.
Because it's not an easy industry. It's very competitive.
It isn't. It's very good. Nowadays with the rate environment, it's a little bit harder to expand faster. And that's why I advocate for servicing investors at the beginning of your career. So that helps you with cash flow and helps you buy things faster. And
Well, Christopher, I think you have something really good going on.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you for coming all the way here to
I
5
appreciate that.
Stars. And thank you for sharing your experiences and for being open-minded
Yep.
about this podcast. It really means a lot, especially for the people out there that,
Yes.
we might think we know it all, but in reality, we do need a mentor. We
Yes.
need somebody, we need some guidance.
Yes.
And why not have you?
I would love to mentor. I would love
That's
to
a
mentor.
mentor. So thank you so much one more time.
Yes.
Here you have it, Christopher DiPreta. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.